Welcome back, everybody, to this week's edition of the PGA DFS Pick Show. I am your host, John McNutt. You can find me on socials at JohnCool19, here for Fantasy Sports Insight talking DraftKings PGA Fantasy Golf. As always, all the stats on this show are powered by Fantasy National Golf Club. Check them out if you haven't already. They are the best stat engine. Love using them every week. But let's go ahead and jump into the Valero Texas Open. We are looking San Antonio, Texas, the TPC San Antonio Oaks course. This is a long course, about 7,400 yards, par 72, and it's listed as Bermuda grass greens, but everything I'm reading this time of year, POA trivials, similar to what we've seen a handful of the last couple weeks, very similar green surfaces as some of the courses in Florida this time of year as well. So look at that. Don't put Bermuda grass in your modeling. It is not accurate based on time of year, even though the course listed as Bermuda grass greens. As far as the rest of the course goes, it is kind of a difficult to hit fairway type course. Ball striking and dry is going to be very, very important. But as far as the hitting those fairways, although it's difficult, the rough is non-penal here. When it comes to finding the rough and being able to make birdie here, it's one of the easiest courses to do that on tour. So still including ball striking, though, approach very important here as well. But as far as off the tee goes, I'm kind of giving a look more at good drives gained and then mix in a little bit of distance. If you look back at some of the past winners of this course, it is a mix of some longer hitters and some shorter hitters, but certainly it looks like there is an advantage, at least on some of the holes, for your long drivers. So include that kind of as your off the tee stats there. Scrambling, very important. Again, we're going to see a lot of missed fairways this week. Some of the greens can be very difficult to hit, lots of runouts as far as missing the green and ball rolling out quite a ways. So scrambling, very important this week, as well as around the green play. Par 5 scoring, as always, I include that in my modeling. This week, though, I'm looking at some longer par 5s. These ones are very, very long as far as versus average on tour. We're looking at a couple that should be over 600 yards. So including par 5 scoring, but kind of honing in on that longer distance. Last key stat here is going to be shots gained in windy conditions. This course notoriously gets very windy, and when it does, the scoring becomes very, very difficult. Early look at the weather. I am showing windy on both Thursday and Friday. So certainly trying to include that in my modeling to avoid guys missing the cut because of that heavy wind the first couple days. Looks like the weekend could calm down. That should help with the scoring. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 under par-ish for the winner this year. Just depends on how crazy things get those first couple days. Other stats that I included in my modeling was shots gained on long courses. Again, 7,400 yards here. And then just going to include some birdie or better stats as well, kind of a key on most weeks. So let's jump into my favorite plays this week right here. First guy that I like a lot this week, that is Ricky Fowler. I think he's going to be very popular on DraftKings. He is at 10,200, 18 to 1 outright on the DraftKings Sportsbook right now. The form is very good. He's made his last 7 cuts, and in his last 10 events, 5 of those, he has top 15 finishes. Really, really good form coming in this week. Course history, he did miss this cut at this event in 2022, but the 2 years previous that this event was held, he got 17th and 17th. If you remember, this event was not played during the 2020 season due to COVID. They just nixed this event entirely. But the 2 previous times before last year, Ricky Fowler did finish 17th at this event. So good course history as well. Main thing with Ricky, I think, is going to be motivation. Obviously, everybody wants to win this week. Everyone wants to make the Masters if you're not already qualified. Only a handful of guys in this field are, but I think Ricky has the most motivation, having been at the Masters many times previously and having not qualified this year based on performance. I think he's probably a shoe-in next year with the current form, but Ricky Fowler, this is his last opportunity to make it to the Masters if he wins this week. So I think that's going to propel him to play very, very well. Should help your DraftKings even if he doesn't win. Overall, he's number 2 in my modeling. He's very good in the wind. And then his last 50 rounds, he is 4th in this field ball striking, 32nd on distance, 3rd birdie or better, and also 36th scrambling. So a lot to like there for Ricky Fowler. My second favorite golfer this week will be Siwoo Kim. He's 9,700 on DraftKings. 22 to 1 outright to win on the DraftKings Sportsbook. The form's good here for Siwoo as well. He's made 9 out of his last 10 cuts. If you remember back, he was a winner in January already this year. Decent course history too. He's made his last 5 cuts at this event, and he was 13th last year. Did miss a cut previous to that, but has been playing well the last few years here. He has been excellent tee to green over the last couple events. The putter kind of has been letting him down a little bit from finishing at the top of the leaderboards, but the tee to green, very, very good for Siwoo Kim right now. Over his last 50 rounds, he's second in this field, ball striking 13th around the greens and 15th in that good drives gain stat I mentioned before. He's also above average scrambler also. So I think these two golfers, I don't know how easy it would be to fit them both in your DraftKings lineups. I guess it certainly is possible since there's no 11K golfers this week. 10-2 is not that expensive. But I think both of these guys are options to start your cash lineups this week and maybe even some GPP, which kind of depends on how ownership shakes out. I think Ricky's going to be very, very popular. We'll see. Siwoo Kim as well. Right now, projections have him top 5 most popular golfers this week on DraftKings. So we'll see how that goes. But I think both of them cash options and potentially GPP as well. Jumping over to some values and pivot plays. Big value for me this week, that is Sam Stevens. In our Discord chat, he was a core golfer for me last week at the Corrales Punta Cana. He finished third, a little bit disappointing since he was the 54-hole leader. He really was winning almost the entire week. Matt Wallace, though, unstoppable on Sunday. But Sam Stevens, yeah, very good finish for a guy that nobody really was playing last week. The price hasn't really changed at all this week, either for him on DraftKings 7,400. He is 80-1 outright to win. I don't know if this is Sam Stevens' week to win, but notoriously, this event has had some long shots. Even a handful of guys over 200-1 odds to win have won this event previously. So not impossible for Sam Stevens. But I really do like him on DraftKings as well. He's made 6 out of his last 10 cuts. I mentioned third place last week. He was also 15th at Puerto Rico just a few weeks before that. Hasn't played this course previously on tour. Again, he is a newer on the tour, not a bunch of events on his record, but his last 50 rounds, he is 31st ball striking. He is in the top half scrambling, also 25th good drives gained and 25th in distance. So kind of checks all those boxes for me. Also kind of sticking out for him in my modeling, long par 4s. There's quite a few of them this week. He is very, very good on those. Very good on those long par 5s I mentioned. And then in general, long courses. He plays those really, really well. So not just a distance player, but the long irons as well. A lot to like here for Sam Stevens. I think a great option. And looking right now at ownership, he is not going to be that highly owned even after third place last week. I think a lot of people just don't know the name. And there are quite a few golfers that they do know the names kind of in that same 7,400 price range. So I think they're kind of, people are clicking that direction instead of Sam Stevens. I like him quite a bit. So as far as some pivots go this week, looking at some golfers who are lower ownership than those around them that have just as good a chance this week, starting with Adam Schenk. He's at 8,200 on DraftKings. I'm showing right now his ownership projection on Fantasy National is about 7%. Now, Adam Schenk is an excellent scrambler. He's had a top 10 on this course previously. And looking at the golfers around him, he's about half the ownership of Cam Davis, of Thomas Dietrich, and Matt Wallace, the winner from last week. Adam Schenk absolutely has played well this season, played well on this course, and he absolutely could beat all of those golfers. They're at double the ownership of him. So look Adam Schenk's way a little bit for some ownership pivot in that range. The second guy for me here, Trey Mullinax, not a golfer I play a lot on DraftKings, but he's at 7,300 on DraftKings this week. The ownership's about 4%. And just looking right next to him in the pricing is Eric Cole. Eric Cole's a golfer that we've been playing for a few weeks. I think he's got a lot of skills, but we're talking about an unproven golfer. Really, he's on people's radar because he did finish runner-up at the Honda, kind of blew it on Sunday a little bit, finishing second there. But looking at Eric Cole, he has 2 top 20s in 15 starts on tour this season. Trey Mullinax has two top tens in fewer events as well. Just 11 events started this season. That was at the Arnold Palmer as well as the Houston Open, also in Texas. Molinex was a runner-up at this event in 2018. He also won the Barbasol last year. So I think as far as proven golfers, Trey Molinex certainly better than Eric Cole. Could Eric Cole beat him this week? Yeah, sure. But with Eric Cole being double the ownership, give me Trey Molinex over Eric Cole this week. 1v1. I love that ownership leverage versus the field there. So that is going to do it for low-owned pivots and value plays. I guess one more guy to mention as a value play, Nick Taylor, really popping off on my modeling. I like him a lot this week also. So that'll do it except for one and done. My pick this week is going to be Ricky Fowler. Last week I had Scotty Scheffler. A little bit disappointing on Sunday to see him lose his first of two matches, and then he lost his second of two to Rory. That cost about $1 million on the standings for the one and done competition. But still, it was a big money event. I know Scotty Scheffler, number one player in the world. I did burn him, but I got a couple $1 million out of it. Certainly, if you pick the winner this week, you will get less money on your season standings than I got for Scotty Scheffler last week. So again, big event. I'm playing with studs. That is kind of my strategy this year. I'm going to go Ricky Fowler this week. He's one of the highest or best odds to win. So give me Ricky Fowler, all the reasons I mentioned before. I'm now up to 469th out of this competition of the Pat Mayo Open. So hopefully can keep moving up this week. I think Ricky will be very popular. I don't care. Him and Si Woo Kim probably the top two most popular golfers here. And I'll just hope that Ricky does this thing and gets me a whole lot of points this week. So that is going to do it for this week's show. I appreciate you.